iPhone SE versus Moto G5 Plus coming up right now. Let's go. What is up, guys? This is Nick here from Everything Tech, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to the Apple iPhone SE versus the Moto G5 Plus. Now, this is a pretty cool comparison because the Apple iPhone SE is basically, Apple's budget smartphone, and the Moto G5 is the 5th generation of Moto's very popular lineup in the Moto G series, which has been one of the first really great budget smartphones, and a lot of other smartphones have followed, and even the iPhone SE might be inspired by the value proposition that Motorola offered way back in the G3. So let's go ahead and boot both of these devices up and talk about build quality to start this video off. So 3, 2, and 1. And you can see there is the Apple logo and there is the Motorola logo. Now, in terms of build quality, the Apple iPhone SE does offer probably a slightly better build quality here than the Moto G5 Plus due to the fact that it has aluminum going around the sides as well as the back of the device. So there is the iPhone SE. I'm gonna put my passcode in. It's ready to go. So the Moto's taking a while to boot up. And you can see it's made by Lenovo. So Lenovo did take over the reins of Motorola, and we're still waiting. So the boot up speed, not the fastest there on the Moto G5 Plus, but let me go ahead and put my passcode in here as well. Talking a little bit more in depth about the build quality on the Moto G5 Plus, if we take a closer look here, you can see that it does have a metallic back, which does feel pretty similar to this back here on the iPhone SE, but where it starts to fall off is when we get around the edges here. So it has kind of these chamfered looking edges around the edges, but they're not sharp. They're just like a polished plastic, and it feels pretty plasticky all around the side here. So it gives the impression of a cold feel on the back, but then it kind of falls off around the sides, which is what we feel a lot of the time too. We feel the sides, but overall I would give this actually what it pretty much falls under, and that's a mid-range build quality. So I do think the SE feels like a small premium phone. This feels more like a mid-range phone, which it is. Now, talking a little bit more about the software, on the iPhone SE we are getting iOS 10.3.2, the latest official version. You can see iOS 10.3.2, well, not official, this is actually the beta I'm running here for the SE, but it's only a bug fix, so still similar performance to iOS 10.3.1. And over here on the Android Moto G5 Plus, I do have the latest version of Nougat on here, which is 7.0 for this particular device. And Motorola is not really as good as they used to be in terms of updating their devices. So Android 7.0 Nougat it is here. And Nougat in this form is pretty nice. It's a pretty, stock version of Android here. And if you're into that thing kind of like I am, you really are going to love this. This is my favorite type of version of Android, even over, Samsung's TouchWiz. I really do enjoy the stock feel of Android. It's very smooth, and it's like almost the same exact speed and consistency and animations and stuff like that pretty much to the iPhone, and you cannot say that about a lot of skinned Android phones. I'm not going to talk too much about what iOS 10 brings in this video. We all pretty much know about iOS 10, but the Motorola does bring a couple of new features, such as the features that are in the Moto enhancements. So under actions, you do have one button nav, you do have chop twice for a flashlight, you do have twist to capture, you do have swipe to shrink the screen, and you do have pick up to stop ringing, as well as flip to do not disturb. So a lot of nice gestures and shortcuts. You can even press the power button twice to get the camera to come out. So you can see right there, boom, there's the camera. And let's take a picture with that 12 megapixel shooter, which we'll talk a little bit more about which has a better camera later in this review. So talking a little bit more closely about the Apple iPhone SE shooter as well as the Moto G5 Plus's shooters, both are rocking a 12 megapixel camera here, but I can tell you hands down the iPhone SE is the better shooter here. It shoots in 4K and pictures turned out much better. It's actually more competitive with the top tier phones on the market today in the iPhone SE, whereas the Moto G5 Plus, even though Motorola is bragging that this has the same sensor as a Galaxy S7, believe me, it's not even close to a Galaxy S7. in terms of everyday snaps. Now, pictures do turn out good on the Moto G5 Plus. They're not bad pictures at all. And I don't think most people are going to be disappointed for the price they're going to pay for the Moto G5 Plus, but it's just not at the level of the SE. So the SE does get the win here in terms of the camera department. Also shoots in 4K. I'm not sure if this, I don't think this guy shoots in 4K over here on the Moto G5 Plus, and that wouldn't be expected at its price point. But we just had to talk about that really quickly, that the camera department does go to the iPhone SE based on my experience. Alright guys, so speaking of storage, the SE is now available in 32 gigabytes starting at $399 and 128 gigabytes, which goes up to $499. Now the Moto G5 Plus starts in at 32 gigabytes and goes up to 64 gigabytes, but both are expandable storage, so storage is not really an issue at all on the Moto G5 Plus. Plus the Moto G5 Plus has adaptable storage. So if I go into storage and show you, you can see that there's 32 gigs here and there's internal shared storage as well here for the G5 Plus. So storage is not going to be an issue whatsoever for the Moto G5 Plus. It shouldn't be an issue either on the iPhone SE if you go with the higher capacity version. Of course, you do have to pay the premium to get it, but I do not recommend you guys picking up a 16 gig SE if you can escape doing that. Now, speaking about battery life on the iPhone SE, this is somewhere between 1600 and 1700 milliamp hours. Over here on the G5 Plus, 3000 milliamp hour battery. So a much larger battery, but we are rocking a 1080p display here for the G5 Plus, where you're rocking a smaller, less than 720p display there on the iPhone SE. Both will get you through the day, but in my personal experience, I find that the Moto G5 Plus is the better battery life and it has turbocharging. The SE was really great on iOS 9, but since being updated to iOS 10, it only does like 5 hours on screen time now, where it used to do like 7 or 8 for me. So it's decreased a little bit on iOS 10, whereas the Moto G5 Plus, with the combination of its turbocharging, large battery, smaller screen than a phablet, and not a 2K screen, Android 7.0 Nougat battery saving options, I do think the Moto G5 Plus is the way to go in terms of battery life here. Now, both of them don't have expandable, or removable batteries, so you just got to be aware of that you might need to bring a battery pack with you or keep a charger handy if you're a heavy user. Because if you're a heavy user, almost no phone is making it the full day unless you got like a 4000 milliamp hour battery phone or a 5000 milliamp hour battery phone. And there's phones out there like the LG X Power, for example. Alright guys, so we basically discussed a lot of the key differences here, but let's run our quick app test here. And this is nothing too scientific, this is just everyday application to see side-by-side real-world performance. So if I go over here, you can see everything is closed on both devices, and let's see what happens here. Both connect to the same AC Wi-Fi network going in the Play Store, App Store. You can see the Play Store takes it there on the Moto G5 Plus. Let's go into Instagram. You can see I would give that one to the Moto G5 Plus. Coming home, let's go into Twitter. And you could see there on the Moto G5 Plus. So the Moto G5 Plus is just smoking right now. Let's go into eBay. And you could see, I'm gonna call that one even. Coming home, let's go into Amazon. And you could see it looked about dead even on that one as well. Coming home here, let's go into YouTube. And you could see YouTube did open there first for the Moto G5 Plus. Going into Wikipedia, you can see Wikipedia again, I think that was about even. Now the Moto G5 Plus does go home faster because it utilizes a capacitive touch key on the screen. Going into Play Newsstand, let's see what happens here. That looked like the G5 Plus. Let me know what you think down below. I might be missing these. Let's go into Lightroom. Looks like the iPhone SE is going to take a shot there. Let's come home here. Let's go into Appy Geek or Pi Geek. iPhone SE for the win there. So let's go into Uber on both devices, and you can see SE takes that one. Let's go into Subway Surfers, and here is where the SE should hands down win. Gaming continues to reign champion on the iPhone SE as well as other iPhones in general. Coming home here, we're going to see the same results here on Temple Run. The SE will smoke by. iOS just does gaming better in my experience, and pretty much everyone has been telling me the same thing for their devices as well. So you can see speed test opens up. So the SE had came back swinging in these last few applications. Settings, SE. So about even, I'd say, in terms of just everyday app opening, except for games. Once again, it's been the story with even the flagship Android devices cannot beat the iPhone in gaming. Let's run through multitasking now. You can see about even. Ooh, we have a reload there for the Moto G5 Plus. Twitter, another reload. Ooh, I'm not liking this RAM management. eBay, again. Let's go into Amazon. Not impressive, G5 Plus. Coming home, let's go into YouTube. And nah, man. Wikipedia. Ooh. Moto G5 Plus having RAM management issues. Let's go into CPU-Z and see how much RAM this thing's got. I don't even think I mentioned that in this video. So we do have 2 gigs of RAM, and that might be the reason right there for this RAM management issue. I think Android needs at least 3 gigs of RAM. And Appy Geek, so I'm just going to give this one to the SE. RAM management is not the best here, and that's where you're going to be taking a hit in terms of your price for your phone, is RAM management here with the Moto G5 Plus. Alright guys, so before we wrap this video up and decide upon a winner, let's decide, you know, what are the SE strengths over the G5 Plus, and I wrote down a few. And my first is you get big iPhone power for a low price point. So it's not extremely low. This is in the neck of the woods of the OnePlus 3 and 3T, which I think is a much better phone than the iPhone SE. Thinking about picking one up myself. Also, you get guaranteed updates here for the iPhone SE, and you get strong gaming performance for a little 4-inch screen. This is a little monster in performance. So those are my big strengths for the SE. Now, what are my big strengths for the Moto G5 Plus? So you get a bigger full HD display here. And actually, I forgot to mention, but the fingerprint scanner is much quicker on the Moto G5 Plus. You see, you don't even have to press anything. It just works, like it's touch automatically. With the SE, you actually have to press the home button and then it goes in. And even if I unlock the screens like this, you'll see still quicker. This is actually probably quicker, if not the same speed as 2nd generation Touch ID for iPhone. So that's a pretty good strength there for the Moto G5 Plus. Also a lower price point. This is about $200 cheaper than the top tier iPhone SE and about $100 cheaper than the starting base price SE. So definitely a cheaper phone than the iPhone SE, which offers some advantages over the SE, including, like I say, that bigger Full HD, faster fingerprint scanner, expandable storage here for the Moto G5 Plus. But other than that, I don't think these are too comparable. I think that the iPhone SE is probably the better smartphone here. But you know what? The Moto G5 offers one great value. And if you got $200 and you think you want to spend $400 on an iPhone SE, you might want to look at the Moto G5 Plus and decide how much phone do you really need, because the SE does have a lot of power, but at around 400 or 500 bucks, I mean, you could get a Galaxy S7, you could get a Moto Z Play, you can get a OnePlus 3T. So there's a lot of options around the SE's price point on the Android land. Even used iPhones, you know, 7s, if you could look around, I've seen used iPhone 7s for about $450. Some people are selling them on the low. So I wouldn't go that high on an SE. That's just my take on it. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, do me a favor, click the like button for me. Share your thoughts, share what you thought won here. Share what you want to share down below in the comment section. We could chat about that. Subscribe to the channel for more technology videos like this. Nick here, help you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.